god damn, this game is phenomenal. It is, without a doubt, the best Zelda game ever made. It's just amazing. The ending was amazing, and I was just giddy the entire time. And it's just so good, and I'm so happy that we actually got a happy ending. And, well, the thing about the fight with Ganon is that I was kind of spoiled for the dragon bit of it too, because of YouTube thumbnails and such and so forth. But I kind of knew that was where the fight was going to go, and so it was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of makes sense that he would do that to destroy Link of all, like, this Twinkie knight that basically kicked his ass. Yeah, the ending was just, oh, it's so bittersweet. It's so good, and I love it so much. And, you know, I think I had said before that I regretted doing all the story stuff at once, but I think, like, that's just how, I mean, that's how the game is designed to go. You're going to do it, and, like, you're motivated to continue because there is this incentive to do so, and there was an incentive to do so. It's just so well done. The music in particular was goddamn amazing, and I love it to death. I've been basically listening to that final fight theme and the credits theme as well, the main theme, non-stop. They really outdid it themselves with this one, honestly. Like, it's just amazing and phenomenal, and it's just like, it's blown me away. I don't think it's my favorite Zelda game because Link to the Past holds a special place in my heart, but I'd say that this game, having played a marginal amount of the original Zelda, and kind of, but understanding the mindset of how they wanted to develop it, how the inspiration came about, how they wanted people to just explore without, and given no instructions whatsoever, just kind of let loose into a world. This feels exactly like that. Unfortunately, y'all probably won't see the last dungeon because that got fucked up because of unfortunate reasons. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, so the game is great. You know, even the story bits that I didn't really necessarily like, they resolve themselves in the end, and it's like, okay, that makes sense, you know, it's just... The one actual complaint that I have about the game, and I know that people have been talking about this on Twitter specifically as well, is that where the hell is, like, the Chica stuff? Like, where is the shrines? Where is any evidence at all of acknowledgement of the events of Breath of the Wild? Like, there's no acknowledgement at all, if at any. Like, the only Guardian stuff that we see is at the Hateno Tower, basically. Not the Hateno Tower, but, you know, like the research lab, Hateno Research Laboratory. And that's literally it. That's only acknowledgement whatsoever. I mean, there's bits and pieces. I mean, they used Chica technology to build the towers and stuff like that, and what have you, but other than that, nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. I mean, this guy too, but, like, there's just no acknowledgement. Like, where did they go? What happened to them? That's my only real complaint about it, I think. Like, and I understand the motivation as to why they want to do that way. I get it. Believe me, I do. But it's just weird because I think something with... I did a side quest that I don't think I recorded, but... And I go over to the schoolhouse anyways, is that basically you're tasked with showing the school children evidence that the Great Calamity really happened, and so you take a picture of the tapestry in Impa's and the chief's house in Kakariko Village, and you show them that, and then the teacher's like, oh yeah, this is like, and then it happened, like, only a little bit ago, and, but a great hero saved us, and there was no acknowledgement whatsoever that the Link was the one to actually do that. It's just kind of a weird feeling because it's like, does the game just suddenly not matter? I mean, it's weird, and that's my only real complaint, because I think generally my favorite games of the time, and I think this is probably going to be one of them, are sequels. I think there's something about building on an existing world with an existing framework, maybe set some time in the future, not too far into the future, but like a couple of years or so, that is just so compelling, and I think it's really interesting. Like, I think one of my other favorite games is Pokemon Black and White 2, which I've probably talked about already. I love that game, but it's set 2 years past the original events of Black and White, but it follows different characters, but you still have these allusions to things that happened in the original game. And so I don't know, it's structured in such a way that it feels like, I mean, it still feels like you didn't really have to have any prerequisite information to get into the game. Hello, Blood Moon. Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. The Zelda's just gone. Sorry to get distracted. Like, it's... Oh god, I lost my train of thought. It's not that difficult to make a game that is cohesive for new players, but also keeping into the original story of the first game. And that's just weird that they don't do that here. I mean, it's not that difficult, and I think what other thing on my agenda too is just kind of explore the depths and see if we can find any of that stuff, because that would be the perfect place to hide it. But what I really like about sequels is the fact that you can go to places in the original game as well and see how they changed over the course of a year. I think it's a really cool idea, and it's something that I like really even in real life too, to look at a place and recognize its history and look at that, kind of examine, well, how does this make you feel? Like, so yeah, with that in mind, there's a couple places that I actually want to go and a couple of unresolved mysteries that I want to kind of solve or try to solve. What I was trying to do before was try to figure out, so, well, trying to find secrets in the underground of Hyrule Castle, but there's also this weird thing, which I have no idea what it is. Like, what is that? It's a, and I was trying to figure it out. It's like, it's about as deep as, oh, I've lost my place already, good god. It's about as deep as I assume to be the depths of the game where you fight the final boss, but I don't know. That's weird. Like, yeah, I guess the other continuity thing is the Zonai. The Zonai stuff is really neat. I really think it's cool. I think it's cool that they kind of fleshed out these few ruins in Breath of the Wild into a whole storyline. It's awesome, and I don't know, well, I don't really know which came first, the chicken or the egg in that case, but I think the other way it's really cool. It's just weird that in Breath of the Wild, like, I go back to playing Breath of the Wild and there's still these same ruins, but it's like, and I understand the limitations, I get it, it's, you know, but it feels weird to me that you can't, there's not really a whole lot to say about them. I think a very few NPCs, if any, mention them at all, which is bizarre. I mean, and obviously they fleshed it out a lot here, but it feels very isolated. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I am simply talking about the continuity of it all. And I know the Zelda team has had problems with continuity in the past. This game is probably, in particular, is probably going to cause a whole bunch of timeline issues. There's a timeline where we fail and Ganondorf takes over the world, that type of thing. And we have another Wind Waker scenario on our hands, but it feels like I don't see any replay value in then going back to Breath of the Wild, and I understand that was kind of the point, and it's unfortunate that is the case, but because I won't be able to play this game, and I get it, like I do. But there's still a whole lot to explore. I know we're done to this game and whatever, but what have you, but with all that in mind, yeah, the mystery is to explore. So I think primarily looking for Sheikah stuff is kind of the overarching kind of goal for this. But also, I think it would be interesting to, well, yeah, right. So I figured out how the underground, the depths work. So they basically are the entire overworld, but where water is, more or less, basically. So that's why you have Hyrule Castle isolated. That's why you have this island isolated as well. My question, the mystery that I'm trying to solve right now, currently, I guess the first one is, how do we get to this whole thing? Because, and I understand it's probably somewhere in Rito Village, so, but I want to figure out where. But yeah, I love this game. It's so good, and it's kind of sad that I'm done with the story now, because it's just like, I love these characters so much, and it's so good. And just getting to explore the world is really cool too. So, I was exploring a bit around here beforehand, but there's got to be a chasm somewhere, or a cave somewhere here. Well, actually, so we can, actually, no, we can't really rule out anything, but ultimately we know that there's a light route down there. because of the shrines distance. It's just a matter of how to get to it. I think it's been an experience, honestly. I think this game probably will end up being one of my favorites just because this is the first really big game. It's the thing I've done this vein, and it's been hard. I mean, it's been a learning experience, but it's fun. It's really fun. I mean, I gotta say. I think that's part of it too, is part of just games in general, I think, is the quality of the game, sure, but also your experience playing it. Because I can tell you with Link to the Past, it's a good game, it really is, but I suck at it because I was playing it with a controller and an emulator on my computer, and that was, or no, sorry, it was trying to play it on the keyboard and mouse. And if you know anything about that game, it's that it does not design for that in mind. So I had a hard time. Hello, Corey. So I bought a controller specifically for that reason, and suddenly then everything became slightly easier. But it's still hard because you can't necessarily predict where enemies are going to be in 2D space. And given that the game is like 20 years old by the time I played it, it's hard. I mean, but that was a really, like, that experience of just kind of like being challenged by a game to that specific degree and for that specific reason was just like so enjoyable and so fun. I also don't know whether, like, I didn't play Breath of the Wild when it first came out. I didn't have a Switch at the time, but I don't know whether Master Mode was something that they added or whether it was like came with the game at launch or something that they added. My assumption is that it's the latter. So, I mean, there's still a ton of replay value for this game. I mean, honestly, the story is built in such a way that you can, like, you have more information at the end of the story to better understand the beginning of what happens. That is compelling in a way that I think a lot of games really kind of aren't able to pull off that well. There's no other idea. Oh, yes, the falling thing, the catching Zelda thing, that was so beautiful and I love it so much. God, it's so good. But I know there's definitely people that are gonna just like not do that and see what happens. And that kind of crossed my mind too, and I was like, you know what, that's too mean. But the other thing I will say is that Skyward Sword walked so that this game could run. This is a superior version of that game. Yeah, I think so. That scene of catching Zelda, just like, because in Zelda does fall to the surface in Skyward Sword, spoiler alert, but you weren't able to do shit. It's kind of unfortunate. It's like, oh, well, you're just, it's Skyward Sword is frustrating. And I understand that it's the case for a lot of people because it's just so linear. Because you don't have a choice whether or not to actually do anything about that specific scenario because that's the way that the game goes. What's talking about? Skyward Sword? Yeah, Skyward Sword. Right. Yeah, so Zelda falls to the surface. The player isn't able to do things, and that's just that. I mean, so when you are given a chance to do that, suddenly you have a lot more control over the story, and it's like, wow. But yeah, I mean, I think my expectations with Skyward Sword were very high. And it's funny because I think when I talked about Link to the Past, it's just like I realized that Skyward Sword was the exact same way. I had to buy a special controller for the Wii just so that I could play the game. And yeah, motion controls were janky. I mean, it's like, I don't hate the game. I'm just kind of like meh to it. I mean, but I think its relationship with this game is very clear and obvious. Like the dynamic between Link and Zelda is also very similar there. Although this does it better. Like, I think they kind of overplayed. I hate to say overplayed, but it was a bit over the top, I think, in that game. Any better way to do this? Wait, there has to be. But my Breath of the Wild instincts kicked in immediately. It's tragic, even. Well, it's funny because I think the Zelda mentions that she was sleeping that whole time when she was the Light Dragon, Yeah. Also, taking a step back for a moment, how fucking cool is the fact that we get to fight alongside against Zelda as the Light Dragon against Ganondorf? That is, I love that. That's such a cool detail. What a cool fight. What a cool game, honestly. She doesn't, like, she knows that she knows that she did it. She doesn't remember anything about 10,000 years, which is wild. What could have happened during that time? Because this is set way in the future of the franchise. So there's probably tons of stories that could be told during that time, and probably tons of details that they could include, and if they were to make another game like this, which I'm sure they will. That's just interesting, you know? I really like this franchise. This game feels like more like a spiritual successor to Skyward Sword than it does Breath. I mean, here's the thing about Breath of the Wild: that it feels very much like an experiment to see the format that works in its game. It obviously changed the game industry for the better. So look for a white bird standing in a shadow. Sorry. Gotta focus for a moment here. God, I was not paying attention at all. Motherfucker. So that must be... Actually, no. Oh, the cave. Oh, she must be talking about this one. I assume. Yeah, I think she was talking about that one. Well, no, you can actually even see it from here. How big is the bird are we talking about here? Well, I might as well just explore and see if I can find it on my own. But, oh, yeah, right. Breath of the Wild was revolutionary in many, many ways. It basically revolutionized the concept of open world games. It's great. It's a Zelda game in spirit, I would argue. That is my own personal opinion, and like people would. Obviously, it is like yes, but I think they were trying at something different. They kind of strayed away. They were straying away from the formula, basically. Nice. I didn't have too many shields. This game is a Zelda game. Through it is probably the truest Zelda game, and the truest spiritual successor to the original. That is my opinion, and by all means, take that as you will. But there's so much. There's so many secrets. There's so many improvements on Breath of the Wild. The fact that you actually know where shrines are, you have a way to tell where shrines are now by using information that the world gives you is awesome. That's one of the many, many ways that they did this. That feels exactly like the original Zelda and Link to the Past. I have more knowledge of that game than the original, but anyways, trying to figure out how to get to the underground. There might be something sneaky. Hang on. There might be something down at the flight range. Hang on. That is the flight range. There's gotta be a cave down there somewhere, though. I feel like that's one of the most natural places I think for them to put a cave would be. Okay, let me get some fire related. A quick. Let's fight. Nope, that's not. Also, this stuff is really cool. Like, just the fact that there are ruins here with no explanation whatsoever. They're just kind of there. Like. And also, we never got an explanation for the rings are either. Like, that's just bizarre and amazing. And, it's so good. Yeah, we never got an explanation for the rings are. Actually, hang on. There are so many mysteries to this game. Yeah, I think also the champions too. Like even Darukka's the only one really even get acknowledgement. Revali's not mentioned. Urbosa's not mentioned. Nifa's mentioned as well. Sorry, I should say that too. Hello, I remember you. Yeah, like some acknowledgement of that's like. There's gotta be some secrets here. Yeah. Like, Nope. I'm King Ganondorf. Please let me do that. An evil man who lived long ago in the area of Harrow's Funding. His legend claims that this Gerudo man fed his bottomless ambition with great power, became a king of demons. He was imprisoned beneath Hyrule Castle for ages, but the magic holding him weakened when the castle was damaged in a calamity a century ago, and his power had steadily been growing since. Now he is revived as the threat beyond the knowledge of any. So, something I thought about that, I don't know, I don't remember if I talked about it or not, probably not. With the timeline stuff, I feel like the imprisoning order was the same one that was mentioned at the beginning of Skyward Sword, but I don't know. Because in that case, it was the goddess who lifted islands up into the sky. But you can understand the comparisons there too. Where am I going? Did I go there? I did not go there. That's probably a mistake. There's gotta be like a well or something here. You see, that was my hunch, but it's just like, it's not really being particularly answered. There were so I guess the other mysteries I want to try to explore are what is underneath the Forgotten Temple? What is in the depths? What is in the depths below the Forgotten Temple? Because I think if they're gonna hide anything in this game, they're gonna recognize the significance of what that means. Because the Forgotten Temple was the one from Skyward Sword, and Demise was the thing that we imprisoned down below that there. So hang on. There's a bit of mouse there. What's that? Why is that there? Weird. Might be something to check out too. The other thing I want to explore is the labyrinth, because I discovered that it is 3 levels of labyrinth too, and that's probably one of the Zonai things that wasn't originally in Breath of the Wild, and kind of, there's also, connections with the sheep as well too, so I think that's probably a good place to look at finding some sort of answers for this whole thing. But there are so many mysteries, I think it's really cool that it gives you the opportunity to explore that thing. So, I feel like there's gotta be something around here. I don't know though. It's really weird. It's not like there's any way to get to... It's so compelling, but how do we get there? So that is below there, so it must be... So I gotta put some boundaries to where to explore, since it's gonna be... I don't know. That's such a mystery to me. Also, I haven't even really explored much of the Sky Islands too, like there's that as well. I kinda got sucked into the story and really just like focused on that, whereas there's just so much to explore now.